Growing a property portfolio starts with the small steps in each individual property you may own to save and make more money from that in order to scale. Hi, I'm Jared Krause.
I'm Sam Powell, and we are the hosts of the Property Powell's Australia podcast. And in this episode, we're going to be discussing certain examples of how much money you can save by decreasing your interest rate, and how you can actually do that in today's market.
Yeah, some pretty cool things about like speaking to the bank and getting some bargaining power. We also talk about what to look for when assessing if your property manager is actually making you money in like rents and preventative things or costing you money.
Yeah, another key point that I'd like to hit on is understanding the market conditions you're in for your property, and also where you're in your current life cycle, as you want to achieve a better return on investment, and what these changes could result in that instance.
Yeah. We'll just talk about some preventative maintenance that you can do to your property to make sure it doesn't end up costing you more money in the long run. It can save you thousands to tens of thousands of dollars by just nipping some things in the butt and just getting some preventative maintenance done. In this pod, we go off the cuff on a lot of things and share so many different examples, as we typically do. There's so much value in this, and you guys are absolutely going to love it. Welcome to Property Pals, the podcast where we share everything around how to build a property portfolio, from researching areas, financing, structuring, buying, selling, and reinvesting to live a life of financial independence. As a disclaimer, any information shared by myself, Jared, Sam, and the Property Pals team is strictly general and should not be taken as constituting professional advice. You should consider seeking independent legal, financial, and taxation advice from a qualified professional. All right, let's save you guys a bunch of money with a property checkup.
Yeah. The importance of it every 12 months. I hit home on this a fair bit.
And yes.
We're both big components of just checking in every 12 months to see where you can save money, or what you can do with the potential money that you've had in equity, essentially. So it's the opportunity cost, right?
Yeah, we talked about in the last episode, which was a beast. If you haven't listened to that, so much valuable talking points. We do talk about the value in reassessing and reassessing regularly. And this is just one of those components that we're pulling out, and like we're just honing in now and focusing on like how you can reassess on one asset or a few assets to see what position you're in and see how you can sort of pull more money out of that to then boost your property investment strategy, I guess. What's the first one, Sam?
Checking every 12 months. It's like do a property checkup. Just from a professional point of view, it's nice to just check in with people, and for me personally, to see what the growth's done on their portfolios as well. But also to go, well, where are inefficiencies and what can we maximise? And the first step's always, well, let's check your finance. And what that means is we're looking at what's your interest rate repayments, and what they're looking like compared to what else might be out there in the market.
Like working out how you can decrease your interest rate if you can.
Yeah, and
you can call you've talked about this multiple times, right? Calling the banks and saying, "Hey, give us a better interest rate."
Yeah, why not? I mean, that I've done a little video somewhere in the online world, which is one question. It could be an hour of your time talking to your bank, but it could save you thousands. And just as an example, right? Like if you're paying, if you've got $500,000 in debt and you're paying 6.5% on that debt on an interest-only basis, that's $32,500 a year in interest you're paying on that loan structure, right? So if you can decrease that 30 basis points, which is 0.3% to 6.2%, now you're only paying $31,000 a year in interest. So there's your one phone call, one question, saving that client $1,500 a year just in interest. Then you can also look at banks do cashbacks and different alternative options with their lending. So
it's cool because they want to keep your business, right? It's not it's not rocket science for them. It's like, well, let's just do what we can do to keep them happy. Otherwise, they might go somewhere else, and we're not going to have their money invested in us. We're not going to have a loan out with them, and they're not going to be paying us a decent amount of interest back, which helps us grow our business as a bank. So it's within their invested interest to give you some better alternatives. And you can also, what I have done is I've sort of dangled the carrot and said, all right, can you give me like a discharge letter to leave the bank, or whatever that letter is called? And I've just, had them ask them to send it straight to my email address, because sometimes people ask for it and they say, oh, don't worry about sending it. But legit go through with it, get them to send it, and get to close to the point where you're like, yeah, I'm happy to leave. And also do your research, I guess, as well on other banks, and sort of, then you have some bargaining power as well when you say, all right, well, this bank or this lender will offer me this rate. Can you better that? Like, I could be, saving X amount of money by this rate. Can we do this if I stay with you guys? They might say no, but at least they know that you've done your research and you're prepared to leave because you know where you would go. It's within their best interest to keep you there.
Yeah, the discharge letter is a classic strategy that you'll get the discharge team calling you and asking you. It's just real for them, and it's their systems and processes they have in place. Like, you'll ask for a discount, they'll say no, or they'll just reassess your portfolio quickly. They won't act on anything as it's a serious thing if it's just a phone call, because they just deal with it every day. People calling up trying to get a cheaper rate, but good on those people, because don't be loyal to a bank. There's a lot of them out there, but they're there for profit. So you as an investor or a property owner, you're there for profit as well, because your entity is more important than their entity. Plus, they make millions, billions of dollars in profit a year, so better in your pocket than theirs, I say.
Yes.
But yes, that's sort of step one. Check your finance, and a part of that process in checking your finance too is another strategy which we'll touch on, which may as well now, is assessing the value of your property. Because you can go and you refinance your loan structures, and as a part of that, you're sending out a valuer to go into your property to put a value on it, rental and value assessment. And with that too, you're basically going, well, now my property is worth X, so what equity do I have in that asset that I can potentially do things with? It might be nothing, but it might be close to something which starts getting you thinking, okay, well, in 12 months' time, I'm now going to be in that, or in 6 months' time, I'll be in that position, if we keep on this growth trajectory, to actually pull that equity out and look at an investment property. And then if you're looking at that, it's like, well, that 6 month runway is really important for your knowledge, for a good quality asset, to start doing that due diligence period at a more relaxed pace.
Yeah. Start looking at who you might be using as a buyer's agent, and then start sussing out like what sort of areas and all that sort of stuff. Because sometimes it can take a buyer's agent like a month or a couple of months to find you a good deal.
Yeah.
So it's worth getting your preparation in place. So when you check the value of your property, so you can have the bank go out and take some photos and do all the things and give you a bit of a bank valuation. There's also the opportunity with that valuation, if that property has increased, there's a possibility of you being able to decrease your interest rate because you've got more equity in the property, because it's safer for the bank. I am still going through a process with one of my banks where I called them up and said, hey, give us the discharge letter, because they still weren't going to decrease my interest rate.
Every day I'm hustling.
Yeah. And they said, oh, well, has the value increased? And I said, yeah, it's increased, and they're sending out a valuer to devalue that property, and that would allow me to decrease my interest rate while staying with that bank. So it's a win.
Yeah, they run off. There's a big jump. It's like 80% loan to value ratio, 90% loan to value. Like, obviously, the more equity you have in the property, the lower risk you are. So they can provide a lower, like, the interest rate's generally an assessment on risk. So if you go to those more riskier lenders, all those structures like lease stock loans. They've got to make their money work for them, and they've got a calculation that puts in a certain interest rate. So, it's a really good point.
And then coming back to checking the value of property, like there's another thing which is renovations. Like if you've done renovations as well, or you're about to, after these are complete, then you can get another value. You can get a valuation from the bank, and that can help you have more equity in the property as well, which can decrease your interest rate too, which can save you a lot of money per year in interest payments as well.
Yeah, and also actually where you hit on that, my mind just starts running.
Yeah, of course, you got so many things going on.
But reassessing it every 12 months is important. And with the valuation, you sit there and go, well, today it's worth $750,000. Yeah. And then you look at other comparable properties, and you're like, well, I can see that, properties that are like mine but have been freshened up, like with a new kitchen, paint, flooring, bathroom. They're selling for $850,000. Mm-hmm. So if I have that spare $50,000, or I could pull $50,000 in equity out to do that renovation, that will increase my property value to $850,000. Mm-hmm. And you start doing those maths in the back of your head, because say you call it, obviously they all range differently, but if you can put $50,000 into your renovation and be confident that on the back end it's $850,000, you're fast tracking your portfolio growth, because you're going to have you're manufacturing that equity in, and also if it's a rental as well, that you're going to be able to re-rent that property out at a higher rental rate.
Yeah, so if you've got a property at $750 and you see the superior ones that did renos that are worth $850 and you put $50K in, it's going to be basically $800K, but you've got an $850,000 valuation of a property. You're manufacturing $50K in equity, really, which decreases that interest rate, or you could pull it out, like you said, and go again.
Yeah, and then rentals too. With that increased rent, you get better serviceability from the bank size, which it all starts to sort of snowball, and you start doing multiple strategies at once. But that's the importance, as we're talking about, is assessing these options. It's kind of a fun time with yourself or your partner or your friend that is on the same journey with you. And if you don't have someone that's on your journey, then we're here. Got a community of people that are just loving all about it. You won't be hard to find a good community of property people. Love those Facebook groups. But just a good thing to talk about.
Yeah. Next one is we've mentioned it, is like you could increase rent if you increase the value of the property, but maybe just if you manufacture the increasing the value of the property through renovations. But if the value of the property just increased organically because of the market, then you can reassess increasing your rent as well, if it's warranted. And that, it might be an extra $10 to $30 a week. And it's not, that alone isn't going to save you thousands, but that added up with, decreasing interest rate and all that sort of stuff really starts to compound. So increasing your rent, that's something you could speak to. The next thing that we need to check in each month, which is you're going to talk about, is the property manager, Sam.
Well, just before we jump on that property manager side, it is thousands. If you're increasing your rent by $40 a week, that's $2,000 a year.
Well, there you go.
It doesn't sound like a lot, but in this current economic climate, our rental scarcity that we're seeing, $40 is not 10% interest. Like rents went up 10% last year.
Yeah.
So if you've got a $400,000 property, that's not.
It's going up $40 a week.
There you go. There's your $2,000. Tick the box to the heading to this podcast. We're not fluff people. We come in here and we just riff it, but it's just.
We can riff because we know.
Yeah. Well, when you're doing it every day, it's a nice problem. Not the problem. Nice situation to be in. But going back to property managers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Property managers. So what are we checking in with our property manager every 12 months?
It's more of a full portfolio check. So you don't have to check in with them, but check in with yourself to see how they've actually been servicing you. Are you liking that? If they're charging, the rate they're charging you, and all the fees involved, why not have a look around? If you're not happy with them, and that goes back to previous episodes, like you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. I believe in that. There's also other property managers that would love to service you to your capabilities, and also having been in a property investor for that 12-month period, whether if you've just started, you know a lot more than you did 12 months ago. So you know different questions to ask, you know where to go, you know that kind of service that you're expecting, which you might be getting that, and you'd be super grateful, and you might even actually just go and give your property manager a nice bunch of flowers or a bottle of wine or Bunnings voucher or something to say thank you. And
that can go a long way as well. That could actually save you thousands of dollars, to be honest, that little investment.
Yeah, because then they're even more so in your court, and they don't get that sort of stuff. It's a thankless job. So that's my point on that one.
Yeah. Also, I guess with the property manager is if you're going to, even if you don't buy them flowers and wine or whatever it is, just checking in to see if they are doing a good job can save you a lot of money in maintenance as well, and also like fees for contractors. So some property managers, as an example, might just go straight to Google and find one contractor and just go, yep, this is the contractor, this is their price, and then they go and get the work done for maintenance, electrical, water, plumbing, whatever it is, versus somebody that's in the area that knows a lot of the plumbers. They might know 5 different plumbers, and they get a better price, or they shop around for a price. So sort of seeing how and understanding how your property manager works can save you a lot of money in maintenance as well. And then also suggestions too. I got a suggestion from actually DHA with a tree out the front of this property that we bought, saying, "Oh, you should trim this tree back. It might be good for maintenance of the property and the roof and stuff." And I had a look, and I was like, I just made an executive decision without consulting you, Sam.
Oh, good.
And it was pretty far away from the property, and it was a no from me. But if there is say a tree or something that may actually help, doing some maintenance, and a good suggestion from a property manager like that is worth its weight in gold, because they could save you thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars with something that might happen to the property in the future. So
how close is this tree to the roof line?
It was.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So you've got the dwelling, and then you've probably got like 5 meters of grass, and then the tree next to the letterbox out the front, which is basically on the just on the fringe of the nature strip, similar to where that tree, those trees out the front of my place, my family home in Dibba Drive in Burleigh.
Yeah.
So similar. So it's about 500 meters from the. Oh, sorry, 500. It's about 5 meters from the dwelling.
Okay.
And then on the fringe of the.
So the leaves aren't getting stuck in your gutters?
They could, but it wouldn't be a significant amount.
Well, either trim the tree back, but you should also get your gutters cleaned at least.
Yeah.
Every 12 months, I say, just to prevent that high downpour times and then overflowing from your gutters into your.
And the reason I didn't trim the tree back is like I was being cheap, because it's like they said DHA won't cover it, and I was like, that means I have to cover it. But also, yeah, I just didn't think it would be an issue, and I thought maybe if it grows a bit bigger, then maybe. But that's coming back to that point of the property manager, I'm really stoked with DHA saying, hey, maybe this is something to consider.
What's why you're paying them the fees that they pay?
Yeah, exactly. It's a decent fee.
We've talked about that, haven't we?
We have. Have we talked about it?
On another podcast. But yeah, we've talked about DHA leases before and the benefits of it.
We have.
Yeah, pull your head out. It's not just the percentage, it's everything else that it encumbers. But yeah, if you want any questions, go back to, we've got a little clip on our YouTube channel. We're talking about DHA properties. I actually remember looking at that one. So yeah, next one. That leads into preventative maintenance, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And that's a good property manager would. Yeah, you're right. They should be there giving you those ideas, but even every 12 months for you to sit back and go, well, have that logical mindset where this is your asset. What can you do? Is it cleaning, doing spending a bit of money to cut back trees, high pressure clean, even getting someone in to like a general handyman where there's a few little things here and there, clean the gutters. There's little things, like nothing's really ever that urgent, but it's kind of like that being proactive rather than reactive mindset. One, you tend not to be really happy and like the place they live in, but it's those things that you don't do that, if you don't spend the $200 a year on cutting back your trees, it might end up costing you $2,000 in a couple of years' time. With, as I said, leaves build up in the gutters, they overflow, and then you have an insurance event. Just thinking like that, and to each their own. Make decision on your end. It's pretty low risk stuff, but it's good to mention and think about.
Yeah. Now, so we've covered a lot. We've covered, interest rates, value of your property, equity, property manager, increasing rents, and property managers. Now it's sort of coming to like the tail end of like, and this is an interesting subject for you to talk about really, is checking market conditions, and what you should do. Like, it comes like the theme of this pod is really about how to save thousands of dollars a year, by a 12-monthly checkup. But when you do a 12-monthly checkup on your property, maybe there is some opportunity cost in there in terms of like what you could do, and checking market conditions can allow you to see opportunity costs as well, right? So like, what should we be looking for in market conditions to understand opportunity cost of like buying, selling, reinvesting equity, pulling it out, stuff like that?
Yeah. So for say most property investors, say Jane, the property investor from down the street,
your sister.
That name just came to my mind. Obviously, it's a subconscious thought. That they aren't in the market every day. So this is obviously where the value of a good quality advisor who is with you along your journey. They pay dividends, and it's not just the fee that you pay them to buy your property up front. It's that continual service throughout your journey, and having someone just to touch base with, because it's a simple text message, simple like 1-minute phone call, and where I guess we're going with the market conditions is, as I said throughout this podcast journey, is markets grow in different at different times and in different areas throughout Australia. So when I'm investing for clients, we see good growth in this X location, and it might get that good kicker in over a 6 to 10 year period, but then it could get to that stage where all that's plateauing. So what can we do with that property? Is that a hold? Is it a sell and buy somewhere else strategy? So just preparing that, and every 12 months, because going back to what I said earlier, is like, it might not be what's warranted now, but we could be, or well, actually we're seeing that could be a viable option in 12 months time. So then your mind start getting ticking. Like, it's like, property can be passive, but if you're active in any investment strategy, you're going to outperform the market. So just thinking that, and that's what I like to sort of hit on, is market conditions, understanding those supply demand factors, and maximising your return on investment is what we're all about.
Huge. Like, just thinking about it, like if you're in an area that you bought on a home on a block of land that's got some decent land, and then it starts to get really busy over the coming years, and then one year you just realize, people are splitting their blocks up, and they're selling the back as a piece of land, or they're splitting their blocks up and they're putting a dwelling on it and then selling that as a house. That's something you can check every 12 months. Like, is the market condition of where you're at, and what's out there in terms of comparables, and what people have done with homes or assets that are similar to yours that have grown them or renovated them or subdivided and whatnot. That could make you a lot more than a couple of $1,000s a year.
That's a really good point. Actually, we didn't put that one down when we're having a chat. And well done. Yeah, the town planning changes on your property. I mean, we're here for a long period of time, and plans change quite regularly. Every couple of years, the council will bring out new town plans, new zoning to obviously accommodate for the increasing population. How can you maximise that? You don't know unless you're looking.
Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it in this pod. I think I might have been talking to our mate Parker about it, or somebody, around the plans for short-term rentals as well in certain areas. I know in Palm Beach there's some areas that you can do short-term rentals and some that you can't. Maybe, there's an opportunity where you can start doing short-term rentals in your area, and you do a quick little reno to your property, and you might be in the stage of life where you're like, I don't really want to live here anymore. I want to live closer to friends or family or the beach or out,
Bigger house.
Bigger house, pool. All these, your family might be expanding. You might need to live somewhere else. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to do some short-term rentals by Airbnb that place, doing a quick little reno, making the kitchen look sexy, and then doing that. So that could save you a bunch of money in repayments if you go away and buy another PPOR.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Well, it kind of wraps most of it up. Yeah, other than the insurance is another thing that's always good to check.
Yearly insurance.
Anything that you have a yearly fee, it's anything in life, I say, is just it won't save you thousands, because obviously there's a limitation. Generally, from a house, insurance premiums range between $1,200 to $5,000, depending on what you're into. Some I actually had one the other day, but it was multi-unit complex commercial residential mix, and there was $9,875 in insurance. It killed the cash flow, but anyway.
It did kill the cash flow, even though it's commercial.
Look, opportunities. There was a different play, because there was two lots. You could, there was the commercials in the front lot. There was a vacant lot in the back, which they could actually increase the rent through storage and things like that. And then, or you just sell off that back lot. You make that $250K in land, and then your cash flow goes from, I think it was like a 4.5% net to 11% while selling off that asset.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So back to insurance though.
So insurance is just call around, check different insurance providers. I mean, there's similar to, I guess, what we do for clients in finding the best sales agent and the best buyer's agent. You can go on compare the market type vibe, where they just go and assess the different options available to you and present that, and you make that educated decision from there. With insurance, it obviously won't save you thousands, but the combination of checking your finance, checking with your property manager and the service they're providing, increasing your rent if it's warranted, the value of the property and your alternative options, with what else can you do with maintenance, we covered, and then checking into the market conditions along with insurance. That is going to save you thousands of dollars every single year and help you amplify your portfolio growth, which is going to get you closer to your goal of financial independence.
So relevant to the times now, time of recording in 2023, where interest rates are higher than they have been, and many property investors that have gotten in the last year or two may not actually be positively geared. But making these changes in a year time, or in a year and a half or 2 years time, can actually possibly take you from negatively geared to positively geared, which can help them have a better borrowing capacity to go again. So it's pretty big. They might seem quite small, like, just change the interest rate and just check out how your property manager's doing, and looking at these things, it might seem like super little steps, but all of that compounded, like you're saying, can be phenomenal for your growth. If you, like you said, you're going to outperform the market because you're being active. So that's a really good point.
Yeah, once again, you overestimate what you can do in 12 months, but you underestimate what you can do in 10 years, and that compounding effect of those little tweaks you do along the way, your future self will thank you for it.
Yeah.
Might leave that on this note. Good note. Top note.
Top notch note. Thanks for listening, guys. What do we have to say on the outro? Just share this bad boy with somebody that has a property.
Or bad girl.
Yeah.
Or just
just a person.
Just a human.
Yeah.
Share with a good human who you think can create value from it. Look, a little bit of cheese on the end. Obviously, it's not the only way we can help you. Jump on our website, propertypals.au/resources. We've got some really cool little free downloads there.
We're adding more to them regularly too. So keep an eye out.
And that's one of them is we've got this mini course, how to maximize your borrowing capacity. That's really relevant to this, and to have that in the back of your mind every 12 months goes hand in hand. And as always, please reach out if you have any questions. helping people is obviously what lights us up and gives us that purpose in life. And the way we do it is through obviously property, right? Like so. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.